When judges are making a decision in relation to people's finances, they are supposed to look at Section 25 of the Matrimonial Causes Act 1973. Quite remarkable, you may think, that judges in this era are looking at an act of 1973 to decide how to divide people's assets, but that's what the law is. Within Section 25, there's a whole list of factors which judges are supposed to take into account. And at most final hearings, judges will refer to the Section 25 criteria or the Section 25 checklist. The first point about Section 25 is that it refers to a judge needing to take into account all the circumstances of the case. This is intended to give the judge a wide discretion, a wide choice as to what they can take into account when deciding the case. It does mean that a judge has the opportunity to do things which you may not have necessarily expected. So one of the pieces of advice we often have to give people is that you will get different decisions from different judges, and none of those decisions will definitely be wrong. The next point that's taken into account in Section 25 is that first consideration is to be given to any child of the parties who has not attained the age of 18. Now, a number of the cases have reported that that doesn't mean that the children are the paramount consideration or necessarily even the primary consideration, but they're the court's first consideration. They're the first thing the court is supposed to consider. In practice, that does mean that the children are very important. So when the court is looking at people's housing needs, they're going to look very much at who the children are living with, and priority in a difficult case is likely to be given to the member of the family who's looking after the children. So if the children are with the wife, say, most of the time, then if there's limited money available to meet housing needs, it's likely the court is going to prioritise the needs of the wife and the children. The next point is that the court is supposed to give consideration to the income, earning capacity, proper and other financial resources that the parties have or are likely to have in the foreseeable future. So the court is supposed to look at all of the assets and all of the incomes. That's where the court will be helped by the parties producing schedules of assets and making submissions to the judge about what the assets are. Now, what the assets are can be a matter of some dispute. For example, in some cases, there can be an argument about whether certain properties are part of the family assets. So the husband may have a property which is in his name, but he may say, but in fact it's actually owned by someone else, it's in my name for a particular reason. Or the other way round, there may be a property in someone else's name. So for example, the husband may have a property in his father's name, but the wife may believe that it's actually owned by the husband. So at the very first stage, there can be an argument as to what the family assets actually are. The court, when it's decided what the assets actually are, will then need to go on to decide what they're worth. And again, this can be a source of dispute. But once the court has done that, it's going to be in a position to say what the assets are worth and the total amount of money available for division is. And it can then apply the Section 25 criteria, and it can look at things like the financial needs of the parties and the length of the marriage in deciding how it's fair to divide the assets.